Hello, English-speaking people. Yesterday we read chapter 13, episode 1, in which we gather all the Incas in Machu Picchu. I'm sure many of you have been over there, and obviously I joined all the 13 Incas to discuss the problems that we have, and what to do to recover our lands, our dignity, and everything that has been done to us, which was basically a genocide. It was a Holocaust of all times. So we enter into the episode number 2, in which the Incas, each one starts to sort of appeal, but to whom? Obviously, there is the International Court of Justice, or the World Court, and that is in the Netherlands, the Hague. And I think it symbolically is the best place to, sort of tell them our injustice have been done for the last 500 years, and nobody knows when is it going to end, because the Indians still are under the same situation they were 500 years ago, obviously even worse. The discrimination, the taking of their lands is even beginning to affect the whole world. And I think the hope of the world is that we preserve the America, especially the jungles and all that, as it was. But they are, in the name of progress, they are beginning to destroy the planet. So it's interesting that there are 13 Incas, and each one is going to make a demand to the world, actually, to say what you done to me, and I want you to return that to me. And Manco Cápac says, what is this for calling us Indians? We're not Indians, we're Incas, we're Aztecs, we're Redskins or whatever, but not Indians. In the case of the Indians of Peru, they are Incas. So that is the first demand, so that they erase those letters written in black in all the books about the Indians. It should be given the proper name to each civilization. And the second one, it goes to the court, is about land. And, we're trying to tell them that we like to keep the land as it was, for the faith that they have in us in doing these things. And that is actually coined from the Americans, in God we trust. In God we trust. That's what, in God we trust, for the faith they will have in us, that we will preserve the pristine lands that are left for the salvation of the planet. So, and I think this is the most important part of the book, because it really gets to the essence of what the Indians want and what the world should do to save our planet. Thank you very much.
Huayna Capac, I just wanted to expose the false steps that sometimes one takes to change one's destiny. Then I don't know how I am going to confront Atahualpa, who killed me, and for whom my hate still persists. Huascar, if anyone harbors any ill will toward your own, it would be you. However, if you, the last 2 Incas, join in spirit, we would have solved one of our most troubling dilemmas, that of accepting one another for the well-being of our nation. Countersole, most of the Incas have spoken. So far, nothing has been said. How are we going to right our past to ameliorate the lot of our descendants? Great Manco Capac, you have brought us to the reality of these council meetings, reparations. We can start by letting mankind know that they have benefited from our discoveries, including our slavery. However, let not material restitutions be the purpose of our quest, but a means to regain our dignity. Man of the future, you are cautious in asking what is due to us. Isn't money what moves the world? Dignity is just a word, and words cannot redeem anyone's grievances. Our patriarch, in spite of my optimism, I feel that to get any compensation from those who have no empathy for the Indians is going to be a difficult task. Countersole, you have finished a long journey exposing how our end came to pass. The people, whose ancestors did us wrong, have to understand the reasons for our petitions. Great Inca, our degradation not only affected us, it is also affecting all the Indians of the Americas. The hope is that someday they all get together to appeal to the World Court for their past and present injustices. Man of the future, I cannot believe that those men of justice are not aware of what is happening to our descendants. If they are not, they are living in the Stone Age when it comes to justice. Manco Capac, the idea of world justice is a recent concept, and one must give the World Court time to accomplish that endeavor. Nevertheless, each Inca should propose a petition to that great institution. Kunter Sol, to propose 13 demands will be a difficult task for us. We have never asked anyone for anything, let alone the whole world. Great Manco Capac, the most important priority is to let all the indigenous people of the Americas know that they have the right to reclaim what was theirs. Man of the future, we are Indians. Nobody is going to listen to us. Great Father, the most difficult chore in any undertaking is to take the first step, and you did that when you united our ancient people. Then, I, as the first Inca, demand that the detestable word of Indian be forever muted in all tongues, and its black letters erased from the putrid pages of history. Great Inca, let your first demand be accomplished by the will of just people, like North America did abolish the word Negro coined to humiliate the African race. What are we going to name ourselves? We are Incas. And that should be our denomination. However, we are speaking on behalf of all the original inhabitants of the Americas, which encompasses a world much larger than the former Inca Empire. What would be an appropriate name for their descendants? Great Inca, for some reverse of history, when the explorer Americo Vespucci came to the New World, he was acknowledged as its discoverer, and America was the name given to the new-found continent. Ever since, the people who came and keep on coming from all parts of the world are called Americans, when the true Americans are the supposed Indians. Then the name of American should be reserved for the natives of all the Americas or any mestizo who accepts his Indian heritage. Inca. You are stuttering, and that is what anyone should procrastinate before calling the New World people Indians. We are Americans, and those civilizations in the new continent that have survived their holocausts can keep on calling themselves Aztecs, Mayans, or Apaches, instead of Indians. It is ironic that the newcomers to our continent call themselves Asian American, Muslim American, or whatever race or nation they belong to in the Old World, whereas the Native Americans have remained the discarded Indians in their own lands. It is going to be difficult for anyone to accept this concept, but the world must acquiesce. Sinchi Roca, you should propose a second demand. One that is closer to our hearts: land. Land in its pristine state is symbolic to the original Americans, and it must be returned to its legitimate owners not for financial gain, but to keep the unused lands as it was before the Old World people came. For land is a gift of God that belongs to all and to no one. Do not raise a building in the wilderness, never dam a river in its natural course, or burn one single tree in the name of progress. That depredation of the environment has to stop by the same people who civilized us. Kunter Sol, that will never happen in a world that progresses for the sake of progress. We are talking of the virgin lands that should be part not only of the Indians, but of the whole world for the good of mankind. I don't see how we, the uncivilized, will teach the civilized world to respect the works of the Almighty. Sinchi Roca, this is not the occasion to make derogative comments. Remember that by making our demands, we have given up the right to act or be like the very Indians they think we are. We should respect all, even if the Old World descendants deprecate us. Kunter Sol, how are we going to recover what it was taken illegitimately from us? Land, in your times, is a commodity, and no longer the gift of the gods. I am referring to the few remaining untouched lands that should be reverted to its rightful owners, the true Americans, to hold in trust with the faith that mankind would have in us. What do you mean by trust and faith? We would retain those lands with the same idea that the founding fathers of North America coined the words, "In God we trust," which is the faith they have in Him to safeguard their rights. That is, trust in God. How are we going to trust in human beings? Because we are natives of the New World doesn't mean that we are not the same as the rest of humanity. We have also learned the passion to possess what is not ours. Sinchi Roca, we would let the indigenous people continue inhabiting their ancestral territories without the destructive technology that in a millennium will never desecrate the earth. Like the migrants from the Old World have done in the last 500 years, and who are still destroying the New World at a fast pace. Then I, the second Inca, demand that the World Court rule favorably on this petition and return the unused lands to the original descendants of the New World to keep in trust with the faith that they would have in them. Locupank, propose a third grievance. What would that be? Recognition for the products that we have given to the Old World people who think that they owe us nothing, and instead we should be thankful for the civilization that they forced upon us. What recognition could we aspire to, when we have even lost our right to wander freely in a continent that once belonged to us?